Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're taking a stack of expert sources. It's actually a structured guide for financial advisors, and we're going to use it to decode annuities.
Right. It's one of those topics that often gets pushed into the too complex pile.
Exactly.
Right.
But it's really just a fundamental trade-off, isn't it?
It is. It's the moment you decide to trade control over your capital for, well, for the security of a predictable income.
That's the perfect way to put it. So our mission today is to create a kind of shortcut. We're going to pull out the six non-negotiable elements of a sound annuity recommendation.
And by the end, you'll really understand the decision tree, from the type of product right down to the actual cost of a guarantee.
Making you a much more informed participant in the whole process.
The sources are clear that it all begins not with a product, but with purpose. The logical starting point is defining the why.
The why.
Is the goal immediate income? Or is it long-term growth? That one choice dictates, well, everything that follows. The deposit method, the payment schedule, the duration, all of it.
Okay, so let's unpack that foundational split right now. There are two main categories that define the what. What are they and what do they do?
We split them into payout and accumulation. The payout annuity, that's what's recommended when the main goal is income.
Okay, income.
And if you go that route, you immediately have to decide on the duration. Do you want income for a term of fixed period, say 10 years, or maybe until you turn 90?
Sure.
Or do you want income for life?
Income for life, that sounds like the ultimate goal, but I'm guessing it comes with some complexity.
It does. A life annuity means you have to choose a structure. Is it a personal contract, so just income for your life? Or is it a joint and last survivor contract, which brings your spouse into the picture?
Wait, walk us through that last survivor clause. That seems like a really key detail. What's the consequence of choosing that?
The consequence is certainty, but you definitely pay for it. When you choose joint and last survivor, the income is guaranteed to continue, though often at a reduced rate, until the second person dies. You're basically insuring two lives instead of one.
So the starting payment has to be lower.
It has to be. The insurer is taking on the risk that this income stream might have to last for 40, maybe even 50 years, spanning both of your lives. It's security, but it comes at a cost to the immediate payout.
That makes the trade-off crystal clear. So payout equals income security. What's on the other side of the ledger? The accumulation annuity.
That's the growth approach. It's recommended when an investor is really looking for an investment return over time. The advisor just recommends a suitable maturity date based on your time horizon.
So it acts more like a regular investment account.
Exactly. It functions much more like a long-term investment where the growth is tax-sheltered until you start taking money out.
Okay, since we're talking about income coming out over years, we have to talk about taxes. The sources highlight something called the prescribed annuity as being preferable. Why should we care about that?
This is where we get into some really smart tax management. With most products, the interest is weighted heavily in the early years. That means your first payments are taxed a lot more.
A tax hack, you called it.
It's essentially a tax hack, yeah.
Yeah.
It structures the payments so that the exact same amount of interest and principal is received in every single payment.
So what does that mean in practice?
It means you're front-loading the tax-free part. Your early payments have more tax-free capital return and less taxable interest. It just makes that initial income stream much more valuable in your spending years. It smooths out the tax burden.
That is a critical insight. It's not just about the money you get, but the tax on that money.
Especially early on.
Now, before we move on, there are constraints, right? The law can override what you want to do.
Yes. Things like minimum withdrawals from registered accounts, like an RRSP. Those rules take precedence. The law wins. And you also have to remember the insurer's own rules.
Like minimum investment.
Exactly. Every insurer sets minimums. If you don't have enough to invest, you just can't proceed with that company.
So we know the what. Now for the second big decision, the when. When do you turn on the tap? Immediate versus deferred.
Immediate is simple. You have the funds, you need the income now, and so payments start on the next scheduled date.
And deferred.
Deferred is for when you're still accumulating deposits, or you want to delay that income stream until a specific future date, like retirement.
But there's a hard deadline for timing if you're converting registered savings, which a lot of people are.
That's the critical RRSP rule. If you convert your RRSP to an annuity at maturity, the payments must start in the year following maturity. You can't just defer it forever. It's a non-negotiable deadline.
Okay, let's talk about maximizing income versus the term. This feels a little counterintuitive. If I want the absolute highest income payment from a term annuity, the advice should be for a shorter term. Why is that?
Yeah, that's a common point of confusion. Think of it like a fixed pot of money you're spreading out.
Okay.
If you have $100,000 and you spread it over 10 years, your annual payment plus the interest is going to be a lot higher than if you spread that same $100,000 over 20 years.
Because you're drawing it down faster.
You're drawing the principal down faster. It's a direct inverse relationship. Shorter term equals higher payments.
And that connects perfectly to this tactical use of annuities that I think will be a real aha moment for people. Income bridging.
Income bridging is such a smart planner's tool. It's for people who've stopped working but haven't qualified for their full pension or other benefits yet. It's like it creates a temporary payroll.
Let's use the Jane example from the source material to make this real.
Okay, so Jane, she's a senior executive. Let's say she takes a severance package at age 60.
But her company pension isn't scheduled to start for another 5 years until she's 65.
Right, so she has this 5-year gap,
Mm.
no regular paycheck. So what Jane does is she takes a portion of that lump sum, say $250,000, and buys a 5-year immediate term annuity,
So the payments start right away.
immediately at age 60. And the tactical brilliance here is that the income stream is designed to end at the exact moment her full corporate pension starts at 65.
She bridged the gap.
She bridged the gap perfectly. She treated a lump sum for 5 years of guaranteed income to solve a very specific temporary problem.
That is just clever. Okay, let's move to element 3, the rate. This is where risk management really comes into play.
The annuity rate itself, it depends on 3 variables: the amount you invest, the current interest rate environment, and the length of the contract.
And that rate is critical because it locks in.
It locks in, either right away for an immediate contract or when payments begin for a deferred one. That rate becomes your reality.
And since insurers compete, you obviously need to shop around. But let's look at the income structure itself. Fixed versus variable.
Fixed income is the security blanket.
Yeah.
Every single payment is the same. It gives you predictability. It's ideal for investors with very low risk tolerance.
Now, variable annuities, these get complicated fast. They're for higher risk tolerance, but what actually makes the payment variable?
It's the performance of the underlying investments. They're often called sub-accounts, but they basically look and act like mutual funds. Your payment goes up or down based on how the stock and bond markets you chose are doing.
And the critical insert here, the thing that often gets lost in the sales pitch, is complexity and fees.
Precisely. Variable annuities usually have higher internal fees, higher management expenses, and the crucial warning is age. If you suffer a big market downturn in your late 70s or 80s,
You don't have time to recover.
you simply don't have the time horizon to recover those losses. It makes the variable choice much, much riskier the older you get.
Which brings us to the elephant in the room for any fixed income product: inflation. If your payment is $1,000 today, in 15 years, that's going to feel like $700.
Inflation risk is the single biggest erosive force. The insurer gives you a fixed payment based on today's rate, and if the cost of living keeps rising, your purchasing power just goes down every year.
The solution for that is the indexed annuity.
It is.
Indexing sounds fantastic, but what's the cost of that protection?
The trade-off is massive, and an advisor has to quantify it. An indexed annuity increases your payments based on a schedule tied to the cost of living index. It helps deal with inflation risk, but the price premium you pay is significant,
How significant?
especially over long durations, like a lifetime contract. I mean, the insurer is taking on the risk of decades of unknown inflation.
So if my payment would normally be, say, $1,200 a month on a non-indexed annuity, what would it look like with indexing?
It could drop dramatically, maybe to $1,050, maybe even lower, depending on the contract length and current rates. You are literally paying that difference, that $150 a month, to buy inflation insurance. The recommendation has to show you that price tag.
Okay, let's shift to element 4, guarantees. These are the customizations that decide what happens to your money if you die too soon.
And they define that cost versus security trade-off. Guarantees increase the cost of the annuity for you, the owner, which means they inevitably decrease the monthly payment you receive.
You're paying for the assurance.
Exactly. The assurance that a minimum will be paid to your beneficiary costs you income today.
So let's focus on the life annuity guarantee. How does that guarantee period actually work?
The guarantee period minimizes the risk of, dying right after you buy the contract. If you die during the guarantee period, let's say it's 10 years, your beneficiary gets the rest of those scheduled payments.
After the 10 years.
Once the guarantee period is over, The payments stop when you die.
So if I'm a low-risk person, I might want a 15 or 20-year guarantee, but that's going to cost me income every single month.
That's it. For every $1,000 you'd normally get on a non-guaranteed life annuity, adding a 15-year guarantee might drop that payment to, say, $900. You're paying $100 a month for the peace of mind that your beneficiaries get a minimum payout.
And a high-risk person might take a short guarantee or none at all to maximize their check.
Right. And we have to be realistic about age, don't we? Recommending a 20-year guarantee for a life annuity you buy at age 85 is, well, it's often prohibitively expensive and just doesn't make sense given the actuarial realities.
There's one other specific writer in the sources. The return of premium guarantee. What is that, and when would you use it?
It's an expensive insurance policy, really. It guarantees that if you die before the very first payment is ever made, your beneficiary gets the full premium back.
So it's for very specific situations.
Very specific, extremely low risk tolerance, people buying deferred annuities, or if someone's health is poor, and the main goal is just ensuring that principal gets back to the estate.
Okay, let's move to element 5, principal risks. We've talked about inflation, but what is the #1 risk when it comes to timing your entry into an annuity?
The single greatest risk is opportunity cost. It's the risk that interest rates improve significantly after you've already locked in your capital.
You're stuck earning less.
You're stuck earning less than the new market rate. You missed the chance.
How can an advisor manage that risk, especially if the goal is accumulation?
The technique is called laddering. Instead of putting one big lump sum into one annuity, the advisor recommends buying a series of smaller contracts over several years. Each one has a different maturity date.
And each one gets its own rate?
Each one locks in its own rate at a different time, so you're spreading the risk of timing the market. There's no guarantee rates will rise, of course, but it ensures not all of your money is locked into the lowest rate.
This brings us to the ultimate trade-off and why annuities just aren't for everyone, the lack of flexibility.
This is the philosophical decision. An annuity requires you to completely lose control of your capital. You're making that exchange for the certainty of a defined income stream.
So if you think you might need that money,
If you know you might need access to that principal for an emergency or a major life event, then an annuity recommendation is simply unsuitable for you.
which flows right into our final element, annuity penalties. Just how permanent is this commitment?
Payout annuities are generally non-surrenderable. Once you commit, it's a firm, irreversible commitment for that period or for life.
And the accumulation ones.
Accumulation annuities are typically redeemable, but even then, there are usually substantial penalties if you redeem early.
So if an advisor is really emphasizing the exit ramp or the ability to withdraw, that should be a red flag.
It's a huge red flag. The recommendation must be based on the commitment you're making and the guarantee the insurer is making. The ability to surrender should never be the reason you buy the product. You're buying security, not liquidity.
So let's tie this all together. We've gone through the decision points: income versus growth, the risk in variable payments, and this huge cost premium you pay for protections like indexing or guarantees.
The whole process forces you to confront your true risk tolerance. Every feature that offers peace of mind, the joint survivor clause, the 20-year guarantee, inflation protection, it all comes at the direct expense of your immediate monthly payment.
They're rigid.
They're rigid, and that rigidity is both their greatest strength and their greatest weakness.
And this leaves us with a final thought for you to ponder. Given this clear, often significant cost for guarantees, you are paying real dollars to manage theoretical future risks. How do you truly measure the value of trading future flexibility for present certainty? If adding a guarantee cuts your monthly payment by 10%, is that 10% worth the absolute assurance? What precise point on that spectrum between maximizing your income and securing that peace of mind guarantee would you ultimately choose?